Verses of the Heart. In the quiet county of Derbyshire, where the hedgerows bloom in modest glory and society thrives on gentle civility, there occurred an event most unexpected. Mr. Thomas Langford, a gentleman of respectable fortune and excellent horsemanship, was quite spectacularly thrown from his steed. The accident rendered him with a bruised leg and a wounded pride, and it was quickly determined that a full recovery would require not only physical rest, but a presence of mild temperament and agreeable conversation. Ideally, one capable of tolerating both silence and sonnets. Mrs. Langford, a woman of formidable organization and maternal solicitude, sought the assistance of Miss Eleanor Gray, a young lady of refined manners, clear diction, and, more importantly, a soothing voice. So it was that Eleanor came to Beechgrove Hall, tasked with the reading of poetry to the convalescing Mr. Langford. At first, Thomas Langford listened with the detached air of a gentleman compelled by circumstance. Yet Eleanor's reading, measured, warm, never cloying, soon transformed his resignation into attention and attention into admiration. Whether it was the passion of Byron or the tender melancholy of Wordsworth, her voice seemed to draw the verses into his very soul. Days passed with predictable charm. She would sit by the window, reading, while he reclined, half listening, half watching, wholly captivated. She never assumed affection, nor courted it, which of course made it all the more certain to bloom. By the time Mr. Langford took his first step without the aid of crutches, he had resolved to take another leap, this time of the heart. "I find myself," he said as he stood on the very lawn where he had once fallen, "entirely restored in body, and yet utterly undone in spirit. Unless you tell me, Miss Gray, that the same verses that so healed my heart are now willing to guide yours into my keeping." Eleanor, taken quite by surprise, and yet, somehow, not surprised at all, could not speak for a moment. Her heart, which had not once betrayed her feelings through all her careful readings, now fluttered with a joy so fierce it left her breathless. But there remained, as always, the inconvenient matter of Mr. Gray, who had long intended for Eleanor to marry the son of his business partner, a Mr. Howard Bettridge. Eleanor bore this weight with quiet sadness, and Thomas with suppressed fury. It was perhaps the greatest irony of the entire affair that Mr. Bettridge himself soon sought counsel with Eleanor, not to press his own case, but to confess his affection for Miss Louisa Hamilton, a young lady with an enchanting laugh and an alarming talent for the pianoforte. Their engagement was announced within the fortnight, thus relieving Eleanor of her familial obligation. Once unburdened, she gave her hand freely to the man whose heart she had unwittingly healed with verse, and whose love she now returned with gentle certainty. They married in spring, when the daffodils returned to the hills, and spent many an afternoon reading side by side. He claimed his legs still ached during bad weather, but Eleanor always suspected he merely liked the way she looked when reading aloud. And so, they lived not just happily ever after, but poetically so.